Welcome to Lime Rock. I'm Nick, founder and coach at Corner Faster. We host test days for current racers and an SCCA accredited school for the next ones. This video is part of a 10-part series where we take a look at Lime Rock Park in the iRacing simulator and go from a virtual track walk up to race ready. This video is the second out of 10 in the series, and it's all about the lime. Visual cues around the track, as well as looking at the curving and track limits. And we're going to get started by looking at Google Maps. So as we zoom in here on Lime Rock Park, we've got the Sam Posey main straightaway that goes into turn 1 and turn 2, which we call Big Bend. As far as visual cues, it's tough to see here, but we've got boards running along the left-hand side, 1 through 6 brake markers, and then a big bridge at turn-in. So you pretty much want to be passing underneath the bridge, somewhere in the middle. If you're all the way on the outside, you're way too late. If you're all the way on the inside, you're way too early. Obviously, you won't be staring at the bridge as you go under it, but just something to line up. And it helps to have a diagonal brake zone deep into the first part of Big Bend, as it's a traditional double apex. You want to get close to the apex in turn 1, come on out to mid-track, and then bring it tight again for the second part of Big Bend, turn 2 here, before tracking out. And then this is where it's basically a compromise from here all the way to the next straightaway, the Paul Newman straight. So as you exit turn 1, you want to bring the car back to the right, and you almost surely won't be able to get all the way to track right before having to settle the car down, slow it down a little bit, and then take the left-hander, turn 3. You want to aim towards the end of the apex curving and have the car all the way to track left to line up the right-hander and a smooth transition onto the back straightaway. As you head into the uphill corner, you want to aim for this apex curving, and then you'll see when we go in the simulator just how steep this hill is, and you're going to be looking for really the pitch of the hill, the steep part of the hill. That's a lot of the turning happens kind of all at once, mid-corner, and then track out right after it, it feels, as you crest the hill all at the same time. You won't be able to see what's past here until you're directly past that point. Coming into West Bend, another fast corner. It's pretty traditional, although it is sort of tricky in the nuances, but it's a right-hand fast sweeper. Line up on the left, come close to the apex on the right, and then there's some apex curving at, track out curving on the exit. You'll go underneath this rather dramatic bridge. It's a steep downhill into what we call the downhill corner, although it actually flattens out at apex and exit. And again, a traditional right-hand corner, with the exception of the elevation, of course, but you'll be turning in from the left side of the track, coming down to the apex curving, and then again tracking out. And if you are counting, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right-hand corners and just 1 left-hand corner on the 1.5-mile track. So with that, let's take a look at the iRacing simulator, and we'll also be able to get a better look at each of those curves. All right, we're traveling down the Sam Posey Straight in the iRacing simulator. We've got 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 under the bridge into the first apex curb for turn 1, Big Bend, and then the second apex curb, turn 2, before tracking out, and then keeping some steering to line up turn 3. Now we're going to hug the left-hander all the way to the end so we can get a straight shot through the right-hander and onto the back straight. Now we're going to turn in perhaps a little early for the uphill, get a lot of turning done, and then straighten the wheel, catch the car at the last moment of the uphill. Get close to that apex curb and then track out through West Bend. Now we go steep downhill into the final corner. Very fast, getting close to the apex, tracking out to the left. And now let's take a slightly closer look at each of the curbs here. Many of the apex curbs actually have the similar feature where there's a groove, a lower banked part of the curb where it meets the pavement itself, and it's a perfect spot to drop those tires in. A lot of times if you hit the curb, the top part more aggressively, it'll cause the car to bounce off, but this groove here seems to work well around many of the apex curbs here at Lime Rock, starting here at Big Bend turn 1. And then again, turn 2, pretty much the same thing. You want to get right on that lower part or right next to it on this white line. It's very smooth on the bottom as opposed to the top where it's much higher raised and will potentially upset the car. Now for the track out exit curbs, many of them are this scallop design, which again, it's smoother just at the edge of the track, but if you start to use more and more of it, they get taller and more abrasive and actually have the effect of pulling the car further to the outside and off the track. So it's pretty common for a few of these exit curbs. Looking into the left-hander, it's actually the exit curb design, but because it opens up the corner so much, it is helpful to try to use some of this curb. And this assumes that you've got the car properly loaded and balanced with the weight settled on the right-hand side. So the tires are on the left-hand side hitting the curb are unweighted for the most part. This is an easy curb to hit, but one that I usually try to miss. And again, it's got that groove right at the base of it, and you want to follow that around on the inside of the left-hander. And then the outside of the left-hander again has that scallop curb, which has the effect of pulling the car to the left. So be careful it doesn't pull you into, even iRacing's got it here, the marked up tire wall just on the outside of the right-hander. You can skip the straight curb, and then here we are into uphill. And uphill actually has an entry curb, and the first few inches of it are actually smooth. Again, it's bumpy and scalloped the further left you go, but getting very close to it's actually okay, lining right up on the white line for the uphill. And then you've got one of these grooved lower edge curbs that are common around the apexes here at Lime Rock. And again, that's where I like to aim, just at the very edge, not really using or getting up on the apex curb, but just getting really close to it. And there is no exit curb, and on this lap I went a little bit further than you'd really want to go in real life, quickly bringing it back before the grass, and just got a barrier here. All right, now we got West Bend apex. Again, that lower grooved curb around the apex with the higher raised curb to the inside. We want to aim for that groove again. And the exit of West Bend has this scallop design curb that, again, can pull the car to the left if you're not lined up right. Coming in the downhill, got our final curb, apex curb, I should say. And again, it's that smooth design where the lower part is banked and the upper part is flat and a little raised. Hitting this, however, given the speeds, if you hit the upper part too early or too abruptly, can really unsettle the car. So be careful getting close to that curb. And then finally we have the scalloped exit curb. And you can see iRacing's even modeled all the dead grass from tires getting dropped on the far side, because this does have the effect, it's a little bit off camera, it feels, of pulling the car off to the left. Now we're going to take a look at the timing of our vision in and out of each corner, looking at the apex before we turn in, and looking for the exit before we apex. At this point, we should have sized up our brake zone through the markers 6 through 1 here, spotted the bridge, and now lining up the apex. Before we even reach this apex, we should be looking past the end of it towards mid-track and trying to spot the second apex curb. Now we're going to spot our exact apex point and look up to the exit. Find that exit curb and that arc through the exit and all the way into the left-hander. Keep looking deep into the left-hander to try to find that apex curb and even the very end of it, that turn-in point. And as soon as we spot that turn-in point, the kick on the left here, look for the right-hander apex. Now look through all the way to the exit, onto that back straightaway. That section's a really tricky, and being mindful of looking ahead at each stage is really key to having a smooth approach lap after lap. Now at this point we've sized up the entry and looking into the apex curb. And after we turn and look up the hill, look up the hill, up the hill, be anticipating what's beyond the crest. And now we look down the straightaway into West Bend, lining up our entry, short brake zone, spotting the apex. Now that we're tracking to the apex, looking up for the exit. And now we are looking down the hill, sizing up the downhill corner, looking into the apex curb, now picking our vision up right away, following that arc all the way through the exit. And finally, we'll just let a full lap run and you can watch the car go through the line. Alright, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about how to look ahead and the line here at Lime Rock. Stick around for the next video where we explore the limit of grip in and out of each corner. Check out cornerfaster.com and I'll see you at Lime Rock.